Hey there, I'm just sharpening pencils. I'm waiting to begin. You know what they say about sharpening pencils? You're prepared to go forth to make something progress. And that's why I often call my viewers my progressors. I haven't said it from time, but I used to always say, hello, progressors. Because no matter what, we keep going. So we're driving along, something goes wrong with our car of life. Do we just go, oh, well, then we'll park up here for the rest of our time? No, if you get, say, a puncture, you fix it and move on. You might have a massive breakdown of the car that needs lots of parts fixing. Then you eventually get there, you fix, and you continue on your way. Hey, how are you? How are you, Blue? How are you doing, hun? I'm sharpening pencils. It might look like I keep sharpening the same one. They're all pink. They're all pink. So today, I'll just finish doing this one. This one keeps breaking. Don't you hate that when you sharpen a pencil? You must have dropped it at some point. Oh, this might have been the one I rescued from over the back there. I found one over the back there. Eventually got it out. It's amazing what you can find to reach with. I need one of those grabber sticks, I tell you. No, more than that, what I need is one of those snake catcher things, you know, like that you can grab snakes with. I need one of those because if we do find a bad poisonous one, we've got nothing to get it with. Doing better, thanks. We'll get the welcome back to you tomorrow. No problem. We're still on our holidays here. Anyone who knows Cyprus does Greek Orthodox Easter calendar. So we're still in the middle of our holidays, hence why some of you won't have seen me around on your channels. Okay, so I thought today I would chat more about my condition because I've got so many new people. If you want more background of it and more of the, if you like, the step-by-step what happened and the progress and what happened and how I was diagnosed and so on and so forth. I have done those before. Unfortunately, I don't have any notes on what lives I do, what things, and the titles aren't very helpful most of the time. But hey, have a look back. You're bound to find some information. I believe I've done some videos on it as well, but I wouldn't like to say if they're totally about that. I don't know. But anyway, what I want to talk today about is about invisible conditions. Now, some of you, if you're new to my channel, you probably think, what's wrong with you then? And this is the problem. Oh, let me put my light on. Went to all the trouble of getting a light. Right. Well, you must go in there because I put you in there before. Oh, that way up. Right, where's all my buttons? Or maybe it goes back to what I last had it on. Still haven't figured out all these buttons. What does that do? Oh, that's the funky one. We won't do that one. There, how's that look? Yeah, so this is the thing with a visible condition. And not just for me an invisible condition, but a condition that can change from 1 minute to literally the next minute. Think of bipolar. Any of you who don't know that, it's not what I've got, but I'm trying to sort of get across to you. Bipolar is an emotional condition where you can be ultra high and happy 1 minute and the most depressed person the next minute. Something can just change for you. Well, that's kind of my condition. I get the downside of that, but I don't go back up that quick. It can take me a day, it can take me an hour, it can take me a month, it can take me 6 months, it could take me a year. I've had all scenarios, and it manifests in different ways. So it's basically from an accident I had, and a very unique accident. From that, it led to, not initially, but it led to discovering that I had brain damage, which causes all the other problems I have. And they basically say my condition is like my brain at any time it's totally in control of me, and it can give me any condition under the sun. We're talking diseases, we're talking about heart stopping, we're talking about breathing stuff, we're talking about bones not functioning, muscles not functioning. Just the other day, I was out, and like when your leg's gone to sleep and you tread and you can't really feel it, or it feels nummy. Well, mine's a bit more than that. I can tread and it's like I haven't got a leg. It's really weird. And I could go on and on and on about all the different scenarios I get with it. You name it, I can have it. I can have multiple things at once. I can go into a coma and not come out of a coma, which happened mostly at the beginning, continually. I could have, as soon as I came out of coma, it's not like epilepsy. It's nothing like those kind of comas at all. It's a full-fledged, complete coma, and they never know if I'll come round. And with that, basically, as you will know, the longer you're out or not breathing or not discovered, it causes brain cells to die. And I used to call this live the P-brain show, because basically that's the amount of brain I have fully functioning. I work blooming hard to keep that bit functioning. And people say rest. If I rest, that is a big issue for me. I need to keep moving. I need to keep my brain active, because literally, if I don't, think of dementia, but I'm totally aware of everything that I'm doing, such as I get all the symptoms of dementia, so not putting my clothes on properly. And like I've said, I'm completely aware of it. So I will think to myself, right, this is the right way round. This arm goes in here, line up the buttons, this goes in here, and I will still put it on wrong. The more I try and think, is it inside out? Is it the right way round? The worse it is. It's almost like looking in a mirror and thinking left's right and right's left. So that's something else. I'm just trying to really sum up. I can't sum up, there's too much, but go through a lot of things. But the main thing I want to get across is the fact that I might look totally fine. If you don't know me very well, you'd think, no, you're all right. I camouflage a hell of a lot of stuff. Even my feelings, I camouflage all the time. It's hard to live with. And something I find the hardest is what I've put in the top of this chat. And I wrote, only 3 people in the world have ever had my extreme rare medical condition. How it feels being the last one left. So firstly, people don't know of it. That's hard to start with, because you're forever explaining it. The second thing is, it's so rare. It doesn't really have a name, because I'm not allowed to name it when only 3 people have it. But I have a mega page of like all the different things that are other conditions that I have. So you kind of string them all together to get so I can't even say I've got blah blah, because it doesn't exist in that format. But joining all these hundreds of things together is what makes it the rare condition. You can have some of these things, you can have a lot of these things, but the way it manifests, in Cyprus, I've been rushed into hospital. As I say, manifests quickly. I was having a good day when we first came over, and we lived in the other property, and we got up and I had breakfast, and I went out and I put the rubbish out. It's down the road, the bins. And as I was going out, I had a little sort of funny twinge inside. I was like, oh, like a stitch or something. And from that, I started walking back. I was like, oh, another one. Bit odd. By the time I got back to the property, I was doubled over. Now, I've had appendicitis. It sort of like that, but not. That's the closest I can get to explaining what it was like. And literally within 10 minutes, I was collapsed on the floor, bent over double and in extreme pain. And Mike went to our neighbour, because we'd not long been in Cyprus, and he said, can you get a doctor? Where do we go? How do we get a doctor? And he came back with Mike. And by then, I needed an ambulance quickly. And by the time I got to hospital, my heart was stopping, my kidney had completely given up, all my internal organs had just stopped functioning. I was bleeding from every orifice possible, and I ended up having several pints of blood as a transfusion just to keep me alive. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of my internal organs, but everything stopped. So that gives you sort of an idea of how my brain can make anything happen. It can just cut off my breathing. It can stop my heart. I mean, I'm a walking time bomb. Basically, anything can stop straight away with no problem. But as I say, there was only 3 people. And luckily enough, we all had an association in different ways with this one guy, like this top professor. And he could not advise whether you have brain surgery or not. He said, it's up to you. One of them had brain surgery and he died. The other one didn't have anything. He said, oh, I'll just live my life and whatever. And he died. What do you do, Jimas? I'm really doing this more for my new people because I don't know. I would say, you'll know, Blue, in England, if you've got a disability, you have to constantly go and prove your disability. And there's so many people out there that try and get money for a disability and they're faking it. And then they try and film them and catch them out. Well, you all know, I could garden, I could go for long walks. I would be the prime target, basically, if I don't get any benefits at all. Nothing, zero, because I'm in Cyprus. I don't get anything. But you can imagine I would be the prime target. Now, I had to go for all those. I think it ended up every 3 months. It was quite often you had to go. And it always says, if you can't get there or don't get there, they've got a right to stop all your benefit. That's what it was in South London. I don't know if it's like that in all areas. Yeah, the hoops you have to jump through. Now, on the day, one of the days I went, and they deliberately make it. It was Mitcham I had to go to. I lived in Wallington at that point in South London. And I had to go to Mitcham, which wasn't that far. But obviously there was no bus there. You had to get at least 2 buses. They made it like you couldn't really get there under your own steam. And my dad wanted to come with me because he wasn't my carer, but he dealt with all my financial ins and outs and the paperwork for me and all that. He wasn't my carer. So he wanted to come. So he drove. And it's kind of off a roundabout, but on a corner of like severe traffic. So there's no way you can pull up. You can't even stop and drop someone off. Then when you go in, it's one of these really tight doors that you have to really pull and have strength. It's like a test. I swear it was deliberately done for a test. The lift wasn't working and it was on about the 3rd floor, right? And it says if you don't get there on time or you don't turn up, so you can't say, oh, I'm ill or whatever, they can withdraw your money at any time. Anyway, it was a good day for me. So I go in. My dad literally stopped the car and I jumped out. He said, oh, I'll try and find somewhere to park and come back. So I went in, up the stairs, boom, 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 boom. Now, I was normal that day. I was normal. Dawn's never normal, even before my accident. So I was normal. So I walked in, sat down, got all the questions, and they're like, but you're all right. And I went, yes, today I'm all right. And I had all my doctor's stuff with me. Thank goodness he was really on board with me. And he knew this professor and so on and so forth. So it was all legit and okay in that respect. But I still had to prove everything. And they went, well, do this today and do that and walk across there. And I was fine. And they went, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get my money anymore. So what can you do? I'm not faking. I'm not playing around. I could have gone in my wheelchair. I could have gone with my crutches, you know. And they said, right, they said, because most people, we'll be honest with you, because you're obviously being honest about your condition today. And basically, suddenly a lot of those people who fake it suddenly make it to the room. Goodness knows how a lot of them do if they're on crutches or walking frames or whatever. But they all make it there to make sure they get their money. So they all get their money stopped. And they said, you're not putting it on or anything. So, yep, no problem. And I got like the highest benefit, because you get different levels of benefit. And I got the highest one still. So, yeah, I'm only on PIP now because Tanny works. I don't get disability per se, just the one we all can have to help with everyday necessary needs over and above normal living expensive. Won't be able to make up the stairs. No. So I don't know what happens then. I think it was the time when they were trying to cull a lot of giving. There were so many people looking for benefits that didn't necessarily need them, and they were trying to cut back. So I think that was what it was. They were just like trying to make excuses to not give. But yeah, I think the main thing I'm trying to get across is a lot of people, I would say I've got identical twin. You either know the other one or you know the one I am today. And I think that's the hardest thing with it. People who've got conditions or disabilities of any shape or form, and they don't have to be physical disabilities, but anyone with, oh, my mouse is on end stream. I'll have to leave it there till we finish because I can't do any chat. What was I saying? Yeah, basically, you know, one of me or the other one of me, and it's so hard for, I wouldn't say to be believed. I wouldn't say that at all. But I think that story I just said was a really good show of the difference. I mean, I've spent more time since I've had it in hospital than out of hospital. I must say it was suggested that I lived abroad, and Cyprus, not just Cyprus, but a lot of hot countries beyond Europe are places that are recommended. And Mike's got a friend who's got she got MS and a lot of disabilities. Mike's got severe asthma. He barely ever uses his pump now he's here. And they do say you are better. I'm better in some respects, but not in other respects. And again, it can twist and turn at any point. My memory's worse. This was the reason I started doing my lives, was to get my speech, keep it going, because I was losing a lot of ability. I still get tongue-tied and can't think of words. Blue's very helpful in that respect. I know I don't pronounce words. I know it in my head, but like my mouth doesn't want to pronounce the word. So since I've been doing the lives, I think I've improved on that a lot. I really do. I think that's improved. As I say, I have to work. I have to work hard. Always, oh, bless you. There aren't like people on them. They keep banging on about benefit fraud, but it's like 5 people a year that push it and they get caught pretty quick. Yeah, especially with social media. You see all these ones, or that go for insurance claims and that. And they're like, oh, I can't walk anymore. And then on social media, they put out that they've just been water skiing and parkour. What is it? Parkour? What is it when they jump up, run up the walls and all that? Parkour, and all that. So, you know, I've still got my, what is it, like disabled parking card? Not that I ever drove, but I got one, obviously, if people drive me anywhere. And I got a parking bay outside of my house, a disabled parking bay. Parkour. Do you do parkour, Blue? In your mind. In your mind. So, yeah, I have to work hard. the thing I've talked about a lot before is I get tired so easy. And as I've said earlier, I have to not rest. That's why I try and keep even my life to an hour, because if I sit for too long, I have to get up and move. Getting up in the morning is a chore physically. To get up out of bed, it's not I don't want to get up, it's the physical. I can't get up because my body's been in bed too long. You need a walker, stick, wheelchair, apparently, according to them. I'm not disabled enough for a blue car badge. Good grief. Good grief. I must say I filled in like a Bible size lot of forms, and it always helps if you know someone who's got what you're seeking, and it's just putting certain words in and things like that sometimes helps. Yeah, so I'm saying I have to work really hard, because one of the hardest things, which again no one sees, is, I think I've talked about this before, I can drop things, not because I drop them, but because my brain is unaware that I'm holding something. So I have to focus. If I'm holding a cup, I have to, in my mind, think I'm holding a cup. If somebody comes round just for a cup of tea, even to make that, I can't talk to them and make a cup of tea, because I don't make that all the time. I have to think, right, I'm picking up the kettle and you put tea in, then you put sugar in. You know, like if it's something really alien to you and you don't know how to do it, and you've got to think about what you do. And then if I carry something, I have to think, oh, it's hard to carry in both hands at the same time. So I have to be conscious. That's the word. I have to be conscious of everything I'm doing. And if I'm holding something, be conscious I'm holding two things. And then it's like the other day, I was cracking eggs and I had a bowl, can't think of the word, a bowl for the broken eggshells and a jug for the eggs as I cracked them. And I was doing quite a lot. I was doing 17 eggs. So I was doing quite a lot. And then Mike just went, oh, babe. And that was enough that I got distracted, and I was then cracking the eggs into the shells. Now, I know we all do these things, but I do it every day, all the time, if I'm not focused, such as, I'm sure you guys have done a similar sort of thing. You carry your dirty laundry into the kitchen, and I'll put it in the bin rather than putting it in the laundry basket, because that's in our kitchen, next to the washing machine. Those kind of things that you do, or, you know, oh, you go upstairs. We don't have stairs, but you go somewhere and you say, oh, what have I gone there for? But that's me all the time. And I really do mean all the time. So, yeah, you have days like that too. If you don't have the highest rate pip, you can't have the blue badge. But if you don't have the blue badge, you can't get the highest rate of pip. Yeah. I put mine in the washing up and the oven before. Yeah. But for me, I have to literally think everything I'm doing, even walking now. If I'm going down steps, you know, like you'd say to a person that can't see very well, right, there's a step down, and I have to do that in my head. It's sad. Writing, I can still write, but it's like I've got hand issues as well as part of it, because they've not been used all the time. So I can hold a pen and I can write. I could do my cross stitch. You've seen it. I can't do it for long, but I hold things dead awkward half the time. So I used to have this thing, this finger stuck out. I sort of do therapy on it, and I can now hold, but not for like it hurts in the end. I do all my gardening and stuff, but I have to focus every day on every single movement, action, and thing I do. I really do. And that is the most tiring part, really is. As I say, got no idea. I think this is why I've been quite yo-yo recently, because I had the accident and I've injured my foot. That's such a silly thing. And you can say, oh, well, you like to go out and all the rest of it. It's not that. It's the fact it's one more thing. And I've got enough to deal with. I don't need anything else. I don't need anything else, just one more little thing. Or if someone just says sort of a throw off, like not a nice comment, that can't, not on YouTube, I'm not saying that. Or someone's just a bit narky, or on the phone, or I don't use the phone anymore. I can watch YouTube and things like that. I am actually listening to some podcasts because I couldn't do audio books for a long time. But I found if I'm dead interested, then I can do it. But I don't follow plots very well on TV unless it's simple. You've heard about the book I'm reading at the moment. I'm getting mixed up. There's too many characters in it and it jumps about. It is a form of dementia in that respect, part of it. Podcast, yes, I'm listening to one I was talking about on my last live. It's is it on a bit of paper still? Because I had it here. I talked about it on my last live, Blue. We did some more talking about old TV and stuff. And it's a podcast. You will probably like it. It's My 70s TV Childhood. And it's great. It's this English bloke. And he's obviously talking about his childhood TV memories, basically. So because I'm so into that and it's simple, I'm all right on that. What else? I can't lay certain ways. Oh, this other medical thing I've had recently. This I was talking about why I can't do the exercise bike at the moment. Well, I can't because my foot anyway. But I was having not breathlessness really, but breathing issues. And I was having trouble talking and walking at the same time, as in my walks. I found that out when I had the volunteer here. I couldn't talk to her and walk along at the same time. So it's not breathlessness per se, it's more breathing issues. And then I was talking about on my live how when I do a live, I sip water and then it wasn't indigestion, but that's the closest I could say, heartburn, indigestion, something along those lines, but not quite that. And I eventually bit the bullet and I went to the doctor and she says, I've got something. See, I don't really listen. I am listening, but I don't absorb. But she was saying something about it's the entrance to the stomach. And we all think the stomach's our belly, but the stomach is much higher up. But a lot of people think the stomach is your belly. But it's up there and it's something up there. Anyway, I got medication for it. And she said, basically take these tablets for a while and then sort of leave them off. And then if it's some blockage or something, it will be cleared. She said, we could do a tube down your throat. I said, we can't do a tube down the throat because I've had so many breathing tubes. When they take them out, I've had them so many times coming out of comas and that, it's scarred all my lining. And I think that's why I'm quite susceptible to glandular fever. I think it's the slightest infection, maybe that. Anyway, so I left the tablets off for a bit because I'm concerned because I've got hip issues and the tablets are dangerous to have for a long time. And one of the things they do is wear your joints away, and Dawn does not want a hip operation. So I left them off and yep, it's all started up again. So I'm back on those again. Don't really need that. But the good news is when I had I didn't fall completely down when I did my foot. I fell forward and that's what's caused all the twisting of the tendons and the ligaments. It's the way I was. And so because you only pay €10 for any hospital visit, that includes anything you have done at the hospital. So they did, I can't remember now exactly how many, but it was about 4 different positions, x-rays of the foot, 2 or 3 of the ankle, 2, I think, of the knee. I can't remember. And I said my other hip was hurting. X-ray. So the good news is my right hip, this is my left leg, but my right hip, my hip was hurting. So I got an X-ray, and the good news is there's no wear and tear on the hip. Mike went, is your hip hurting? I said, well, it is. The way I tripped and sort of tried to recover, I sort of jarred that hip, but it was only hurting like it was already hurting. But I said, I've been a bit worried about that. So I thought my hip joint was wearing away. So that would have showed up on an X-ray, surely. So, yeah, however many X-rays you have or scans, or €10 for the whole lot. So, and you'll probably all laugh at me because I haven't had an X-ray for donkey's years. It's not like the old X-ray. Now in Cyprus, I have had like the proper X-ray, you know, with the film, the negative film thing you get for an X-ray. And in Cyprus, you always keep them yourself. So, I think that was that a knee? What did I hurt before and I had an X-ray? I'll have to show them to you. I'll see if I can remember to get them out of the filing cabinet. And you keep all your X-rays. And the reason is, if you have any issues and you go elsewhere, then you've got your own X-rays. But these new modern X-rays, tell me if this is right for all of you now, or whether it's just some countries. The X-rays aren't like what you see on TV, the black and white film things anymore. They are only on computer. And the X-ray machine is small now. It's not like this great big thing, and it goes from that computer and you go back to like the ER cubicle, and by the time you get there, they're already looking at it on their computer. You keep them yourself in Australia, right? I have loads of them. You should do an art exhibition, right? See, that was the first I'd heard of that, but yeah, now it's no more of those anymore. It's all on computer, and it's part of this guessy thing that we're part of now, that all your information is literally, you've got a code number, I suppose like a health registration number, if you like, and then everything all gets this number put on it. Talk about honest. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The more of the old style X-rays you have, the more dangerous it was. So yeah, I was a bit bothered when they kept taking all these pictures and manipulating me, and I was like, oh my goodness. And obviously now it doesn't matter if you have metal or anything, I guess, anymore, because they didn't ask if I had a screw in my head or screw loose in my head. Oh, that was the other thing. When I went to the doctor for this upper stomachy thing, whatever it is, obviously I'm newly registered there because we've only just got this guessy thing. That's a palaver as well, but we won't go into that. It's nothing to do with Cyprus. Anything to do with England, I'm still tied up with that, and they still make a big hoo-ha. They just don't want to release anything to you. So finally got the paperwork to be with Gessie from the UK, and yes, so she's got all my notes and all my information, everything, and she basically said, well, she said, you know more than I do, she said, about your condition, but is there any way it could be your brain saying there's something wrong when there isn't? It makes me sound a bit like stupid, like, oh, I'm making up all these conditions, but it's not that. X-rays weren't the issue of metal plates and stuff, but MRIs can rip them out your body like earrings. Yeah, because they're magnetic, aren't they? I hate those when you go in that machine and it's that like drumming, the noise the machine makes. Oh my goodness. The time I was in there, I was in the worst state brain-wise ever. And I just thought my head was going to explode. And they said, you can come out, but if you do, we'll have to start again another time. Oh dear, that was awful. Yeah, that's not a good time for me. Yes, I can imagine, Blue. I can imagine it's probably one of the worst things for you with your situation. Definitely. So yes, like I was saying, I do listen, but I don't absorb. So the easiest way I can explain that is, if, let's say, I was going to an office and I said, oh, what room is such and such? And they'll say, oh, we go down there, turn left, turn right, go up to this floor, go down the corridor. I can't absorb that. That's the information of directions more than anything else, directions. So yeah, if you get lost and you go, oh, where do I go from here, or where's the nearest shop or petrol station or whatever, and they go, turn left, turn right, and round about, and it's gone. As quick as I'm saying it, I'm saying yes, yes, and I know I'm listening. I can hear the words, but I can't absorb it. That bit of my brain is totally gone. I've got recall in some respects. I'm not dyslexic in any sense, but now I have traits of numbers are an issue. I know what year I'm born. This is part of this condition. It's not this is your situation with numbers. No, it's not. I'm bit of this, bit of this, bit of this. So I can still add up and things like that. When we start getting thousands and millions and I see that long number, that's a bit of an issue. Multiplying by 8 and 9, I just don't bother. Something about 8 and 9. I guess they were the hard tables anyway at school. I know my date of birth. I don't know how old I am. I have to count. I know the year I was born. I can count. But I guess a lot of older people forget how old they are. But if Mike tells me 10 minutes later, I can't remember. My words come out wrong. So if I say, put that in the fridge, I might say, put that in the oven. So it's like I've got the right file out, kitchen, but I've pulled out the wrong sheet of paper with the word. So Mike picks me up on it all the time. He said, no, you just said that. Or I'd say something like that. Hey there. So yeah, often say the wrong word. Sometimes I hear myself do it. Sometimes I'm oblivious to that. What else? Obviously, I'm not allowed to drive because I don't react quick enough. I don't react quick enough. I would be a danger. So yeah, I won't react quick enough. I wouldn't like to drive anyway. There'd be too much going on, in my opinion, driving anyway. It's not for me, other people, it's myself. So driving's a no. What else? There's so much. I'm bound to be able to go, oh, that's like a really big thing, and didn't even say that. But as I say, it's mostly you just wouldn't know. So it's definitely, unless you see me in a coma, or, as I've said before, it's not like epilepsy, not that sort of coma or anything like that. It's not a fainting thing. And I'm completely oblivious going into it. It's not like a distancing thing or anything. I'm on the floor, gone, like instant. And I've heard in the past people say I actually look drunk prior to it. Like, I don't know that I stumble or go into it, but obviously I don't just go. There must be something prior, but I'm already out of it. So I'm obviously like staggering around, but I'm not aware of that at all. I'm already out my little head by then. But yeah, as I say, the amount of my brain that still functions properly is the size of a pea. So I think I do pretty good, really. This is another reason I keep trying to do languages. I don't mind Sudoku, but I'm not interested in any more numbery things. That just sends me in turmoil. I do like, I mean, doing just even jigsaw puzzles and that is helpful. Apart from doing hand therapy, doing things like that. That's why I like to try and do crafts when I can. Just reading in general is pretty helpful. Speaking of weirdness from our bodies, mine's going into a fatigue flare. Okay, cool. Go and relax. Go and relax. Yeah, so as I say, this is really more to put in perspective that, I don't know. As I say, it's nobody's. I've only ever had one person not believe me, and that was one consultant who, after I'd already been diagnosed, she was like some relief person, consultant, and she went to pigeonhole. She wanted to pigeonhole. First of all, she said, "Oh, you got epilepsy," and I was like, "No, I've had all the tests for that long time ago, and none of the symptoms match. There might be very slight overlaps, but not at all." And she's like, "Yes, you do. You are epileptic because you wet yourself every time you." She said, "Go unconscious." And I was like, "No, they've said I've never done that before." "Yes, you do. You just don't want to admit it." And it's like it's not even on a record anymore or anything like that. And then I told my doctor. He said, "Oh, we'll try and get you another consultant, but for now you have to like finish like a format type thing." And then she decided, then it was MS. She got MS, and I was like, "No, been down all these routes." Then it was this thing where she said, "Oh, it's just what you're eating." And then she made me do this thing where she gave me a massive like bucket, like a paint bucket, plastic, and you had to poop in that every day for a week, but keep it there. You couldn't do anything with it. And then after a week, you had to take it to the hospital. No, you had to take it back to her, which I thought was a bit odd, and she'd pass it on to the hospital. And you had to make all these notes and what you'd eaten, and it was tiring. I was quite bad at this point, and it was very tiring. And anyway, took it back to her, and she pressed a button while I was in there, buzzer, and this like auxiliary nurse came in, and she said, "Send that to disposal." Anyway, so I went back to my doctor and I told him. He's like, "Right, okay, we'll get you an emergency transfer to different consultant." She gave me beta blockers as well. Now at this point, I was still at work. I was still employed, and she gave me beta blockers. And literally, she had me on so many. I knew it wasn't right, but she had me on so many that I was almost shaky, and I had to get to work. And remember, I didn't drive. This is before I was diagnosed fully, if you like. They knew I'd had some brain incident at this point. So I was like dead shaky. I had to get to work on the bus. Got to work. I couldn't function. I could barely walk. If I walked like slightly too fast, "Hey, Della, nice to see you." If I couldn't even walk normal, I had to go really slow because or else my heart would really like go, "Ooh." And I was like, oh. Anyway, got rid of her after that anyway. And as I say, my doctor was really good. But he said you have to go through all like these formats and everything. And I did end up in the, what shall I call it? It's like a brain hospital. I ended up in a brain hospital, and as I say, I could go for weeks, months without a coma, or I could have 2 comas in a day if they were like mild ones, and then I'd go soon as I was in hospital and came out of a coma, I could go straight back into a coma. I often had at least 2 like that. So they put me in this brain hospital, and they put all this head stuff on. You have all the little stickers all around your head. And they said you can unplug yourself if you need to go to the toilet. But I wasn't free to wander around. I had to stay on the bed at all times. And but I could unplug, but I'd have to tell someone going to the toilet. And they said, because if you have a coma when you're in the toilet or anything. And I thought, that'd just be my luck, that because I had no warnings, I'll be in the toilet and I won't be like on this monitor, but at least I'm there. They could like sort of, I don't know, do an emergency test and whatever. Anyway, I was there for, I'm going to say a month. I can't remember exactly how long. And then they came and they said, right, you can ask. Mike was like my boyfriend then. So, yeah, he was my boyfriend then. And they said, you can call your boyfriend and say he can come and collect you. And I said, but they said I can stay here till I have a coma, because then you'll get all the readings. And they were filming me as well all the time. There was a camera and they were filming me so they went to see more of the pre-coma as well, what sort of readings. They had all heart monitors on and everything. And that was going to be my big answer, what triggered the actual comas. And they said, right, hey there, hang on, Mr. J, nice to see you. So they had me all rigged up. So if I went into a coma, they could see, was there something that triggered it, or were they just random? And I thought, it's not helpful that I'm not doing anything all day, because if it's a mental thing, that it's like I have a power cut in my brain. So it could be something stimulating it and starts it off, but just sitting on the bed all day. So they said, well, you can ring your boyfriend and say he can come and collect you. And I'm like, but this was going to be my big answer of all time. And they said, oh, because we're closing down. The whole hospital's closing down. What? They said, yeah, we've got 2 days, we're closing down. And that was going to be my big my big answer to all things. Oh dear. So yeah. But at that point, and it was quite horrific in there, because obviously people had lots of different brain problems, let's say, and it was quite horrific. People would scream, and some would be put in almost like let's say attached to their beds, let's say. It was a mixed ward, and there was one man opposite me, and it was definitely deliberate. Every night he would get out of the bed, he would stand there, he'd get his thing out of his pyjamas, and he would go on the floor, urinate on the floor, and then he'd put his pyjamas back on and get back into bed. And he would do that without fail most nights. And I was like, oh. And he was right opposite me, and he'd put the light on as well. I don't know if he was exhibition or what. Your hospital's got, no, this was in England. I've been talking today about my rare medical condition and my brain damage, and trying to put everything together of all what happens to me and what symptoms I have, what happens. I'm saying basically one day, like now, I can be pretty fine, and then next day I might not be able to walk. I've got a wheelchair. It's just as it is. As I say, it's like a power cut in my brain, and it can affect literally any part of my body. So I might not be able to walk. I might start slurring and not be able to speak properly. Oh, they said my eyes, that is possibly, I forget what she said. See, I don't take information. It's this thing you have with your eyesight that slowly deteriorates. and till you can lose your sight or have very poor eyesight. And this could be to do with my brain or not. This is the trouble, we don't know. When my kidneys stopped, my heart stopped. Afterwards, they said there's nothing wrong with them. Your brain, I mean, it's not made up, because the hospital were the ones who said your kidneys stopped functioning, your heart stopped functioning. But because nothing happened, there was nothing wrong with them. Once they got more blood pumped in me that I'd lost, and actually took out some internal organs as well. Now they don't know if that was caused by my brain and it just stopped things working long enough that it all malfunctioned. Who knows? I have MS. Some of what you say is what I go through. Yeah, I was saying that, Della, at the beginning, that I don't want to make it sound like I'm worse than anyone else, but I have so many overlaps of lots of different conditions that other people have, but I don't have that, and I don't have that, and I don't have that, but I've got lots of bits. I was saying, like dementia, though you're not supposed to know what you like, you're not aware, but I haven't got dementia, but the symptoms are so similar. Don't know how anyone can process something like that. Well, this is the thing. Everyone says I'm so positive. I have an option. I'm like, oh, now I have an option. Either get on with it or give up. So this is why I just try and make the best of things. This was one reason we moved to Cyprus. You don't know what's happening tomorrow. As I say, if something happens to you, if you're driving along in the car, I said this at the beginning, you're driving along in your car, you get a puncture. Do you pull up on the side of the road and go, oh, well, then we'll just sit here for the rest of our life? No, you fix that puncture and you go again. You keep going. You've got to keep going. And as I say, it might be you have more than a puncture. Your whole car engine might explode. You might not be able to cope with it at the time and raise the money to do it, but you will. You get there. Hey, or else you just walk. And that's what I'm doing. You just walk. You just keep on walking. So, yeah, how did I do it? This is what everyone says. How do you do it? And this is why I think some people don't think I'm as bad as I portray, because I put this smile on my face. This is why, another reason I wanted to do my lives. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to do something. Normally I try and do a fun one. That's why I like a lot of fun in my life. And I try and bring some fun to you. But I just wanted to kind of bring it up. I said, because I've got so many new people. And I don't want them to see me all gardening and going for my long walks and all that. And then next minute they go back to an old video and I'm like, oh, I've got this condition that eventually it's going to finish me off. I don't know when. I'm a ticking time bomb. Oh, look, today I'm in my wheelchair. They'll be like, what? Oh, tomorrow, hello, I'm on your live. That is the hardest bit. As I say, it's not people don't believe me, but I think it must be blooming hard for people to comprehend how I can be. As I say, it's like I'm a twin. I'm an identical twin, and one is really sick and ill and can barely walk and talk, and the other one's here. Hello. But how do I do it? Well, as I say, sometimes on the end of my videos, I've actually got a whole video that I call Choose to Be Happy. Think about what you have got. And in my head, I always think there is somebody worse off than me. So much so that there's probably a lot of people that would be happy to swap lives with me. So I don't know, maybe they haven't even got a home and they'd be like, well, I'll swap. There's lots of people out there. So I'm just trying to, I don't want to down what anyone's got, but I pretty much have got symptoms of what everyone's got, or I could do. But no, I feel for you all, and especially those of you get up and do things. I know Della is doing her growing and everyone's so supportive out there and blue for her issues. She's the first person out there who will help you. So I think that's the thing, what I like about this community, that it's, I won't say the more worse off people, but those who are living a true life are the ones who are more helpful and give their time to other people. So yeah, this is why I do say sometimes I'm just pleased if someone says hello or just a nice comment, hi there, or it does make a difference. It really does. The hardest thing for me moving here was that I had to give up my, I had the height rate disability benefit, and I have money for, I have to have 24-hour care. I don't have comas so often here, but Mike knows how to deal with them anyway. That was quite a funny thing. I'd kind of, when we were going out, I told him day one, they say don't talk about like ex-partners or illnesses or death or religion on your first date. But I literally was sitting opposite him. I said, right, hear all this. If you want to get up and go, I'd rather you did it right now before sort of we become something. So, and I just said, right, this, and I kept it as simple as possible. And no, he stayed. I said, I'd rather you just go. I won't be offended, but he stayed. Anyway, I think we'd only been going out maybe a few weeks, and I had a coma. Luckily, we were at my house. I think it would have been worse for him if we were out and about somewhere, because I think, you know, dealing with other people's reactions. So luckily we were in my house, and I'd said to him, I'd given him my dad's phone number, and because he would be the easiest person, he didn't live too far away. And I said, it's always on my freezer as well, because I often had the emergency responses come in my house. One time they had to break in to get me, another story. So I always have it big on my freezer. So I said it's there. And he phoned up my dad and he said, oh, is that Dawn's dad? And he said, yes. And Mike said, oh, you don't know me, but I'm going out with your daughter. And he said, right. And he said, she's just said, phone you if she has a coma. She's here on the floor in a coma. So he said, we had a special number to ring for emergency response. So we didn't just do the 122 or 999 or whatever number you have in your country. We had a quick response. They come like on the motorbike because I needed resuscitating. And he said, right, the number's there, you call it. And he told him what to say. And he said, no, I'm coming. They'll get there first. If they take her away, just ask what hospital and I'll come. It's obviously the nearest one, but yes. Yeah, so how, hang on, Miss J says, how do you process it? I didn't get the diagnosis straight away. It was lots of tests and tilt tests and scans and brain scans, and it was a long slog to get the final diagnosis, but all the symptoms kept changing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm having these symptoms, and they didn't know I sort of had brain damage when I first had the accident as well. So that was part of the battle, because they didn't do a brain scan there and then, because I seemed okay. They didn't do a brain scan, and I don't know why, and I don't know what happened. And let me just say, if you ever find anyone collapsed, passed out, whatever, do not sit them up. Do not put something under their head to make them more comfortable. A slight movement like that can make all the difference. With me, when I'm in a coma, they must not move my head from my neck, because the vasovagal, which is like you're down here, that is part of the issue of being worn away. and that obviously causes a lot of problems as well, to sending messages to your body. So do not do that. Do not do the thing, oh, have they passed out? Let's get their head up and over between their knees. Do not do that. Don't even put something under their head. Oh, and if, just while we're saying that, if you see, say, a motorcyclist or a cyclist has an accident on the road, mine wasn't a road accident, but if you see that, don't take their helmet or hat off, leave it. And if someone's broken their leg or something, don't take their shoe off, just do nothing. It's better to do nothing than try and help and do something. If you've got questions, which I'm sure you have, then do drop me a comment. If I get enough questions, I might do another video, because I've probably missed so much stuff. Sounds like you had an unbelievable adventure. Oh, bless you. What a lovely way to put it. Oh, I think that's wonderful. Unbelievable adventure. What I do say is, because I'm one of only 3 people that have this medical condition stemming from brain damage, I am truly unique. Now, the other 2 have died. One said they would have the brain surgery to experimental, and he died on the table. And the other one said, no, I'm just going to leave it, and what will be, and he died. So I really am unique now. Absolutely unique. Oh, hang on, Mr. J. I love that. Unbelievable adventure. Definitely. I really am unique. So as I say, if anyone's got questions, I won't be offended by questions. Do go back and watch from the beginning. If you haven't seen it from the beginning, there might be things in there. But yeah, you might want to know how to cope with things. You might be someone who's got issues, and as you say, some of you say, how do I deal with it? It's just being strong enough to have the choice. Just hope days I'm in pieces. Of course we're going to be like that, but mostly I'm positivity. I'm grateful for what I do have. I look for the positives, and I try and do something every day. Days I can't do things, I'll read a book if I can do that, or learn something, or just watch you guys. So it's just choice. You can choose to be happy. No matter what, find something that makes you happy and do it. So just a hi there, go on someone's channel, just go and say, hi, how are you doing? Or just letting you know I'm here. So I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks to those who have been in my chat today. I really appreciate you all, more than you know, or probably as you do now know. So until next time, as always, choose to be happy. And Meraki, if you don't know what Meraki is, I've got a video out there and you will need that word. Bye guys, Meraki.